Question. When in a travel lane on the roadway. Option number 1. You may stop to drop off passengers. Option number 2. You may stop to look up an address. Option number 3. You may make a U-turn or back up if you get on the wrong entrance ramp of the freeway. Option number 4. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. The answer is option number 4. Don't stop for any reason. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. Question. What should you do if your accelerator sticks while you are driving? Option number 1. Reach down and attempt to pull it up. Option number 2. Shift to park. Option number 3. Shift to neutral and apply steady pressure on the brake. Option number 4. Turn the engine off. The answer is option number 3. Shift to neutral and apply steady pressure on the brake. Question. Drivers should use their low beam headlights? Option number 1. When driving in fog, dust, or rain. Option number 2. When following closely behind another vehicle at night. Option number 3. Within 500 feet of an approaching vehicle when driving at night. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Question. How often are motor vehicles required to be inspected? Option number 1. Once every 4 years. Option number 2. Once every 3 years. Option number 3. Once every 2 years. Option number 4. Once every year. The answer is option number 4. Once every year. Question. A person who drives much slower than the speed limit? Option number 1. Is a very safe driver. Option number 2. Always has the right of way. Option number 3. Should not let following cars pass. Option number 4. May create a dangerous driving environment. The answer is option number 4. May create a dangerous driving environment. Question. Which of the following statements about railroad crossings is true? Option number 1. It is against the law to go around lowered gates at a crossing. Option number 2. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger. Option number 3. Not all railroad crossings are equipped with flashing red signals and gates. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Question. When driving near heavy trucks, other drivers and highway users must make allowances for. Option number 1. The increased stopping distance required by large vehicles. Option number 2. The decreased stopping distance required by large vehicles. Option number 3. The decreased noise of larger vehicles. Option number 4. The increased speed of larger vehicles. The answer is option number 1. The increased stopping distance required by large vehicles. Question. Operating a motor vehicle is? Option number 1. A privilege. Option number 2. A right. Option number 3. A requirement. Option number 4. Simple. The answer is option number 1. A privilege. Question. The most common color of warning signs is? Option number 1. Red. Option number 2. Yellow. Option number 3. Green. Option number 4. Blue. The answer is option number 2. Yellow. Question. What helps a person sober up after consuming alcohol? Option number 1. Only time. Option number 2. A cold shower. Option number 3. Eating food. Option number 4. Drinking coffee. The answer is option number 1. Only time. Question. This sign means that? Option number 1. A community service group is picking up trash along the highway ahead. Option number 2. Workers are on or very close to the road in the work zone ahead. Option number 3. Children are at play ahead. Option number 4. There is a pedestrian crosswalk ahead. The answer is option number 2. Workers are on or very close to the road in the work zone ahead. Question. If you have the right-of-way at an intersection, you should? Option number 1. Assume other drivers will follow right-of-way laws. Option number 2. Check for traffic, pedestrians, and bicyclists before moving forward. Option number 3. Wave other drivers forward before proceeding. Option number 4. Immediately move through the intersection. The answer is option number 2. Check for traffic, pedestrians, and bicyclists before moving forward. Question. At dusk or on overcast days, you should? Option number 1. Drive using your four-way flashers. Option number 2. Drive using your parking lights. Option number 3. Not turn on any vehicle lights. Option number 4. Turn on your headlights. The answer is option number 4. Turn on your headlights. Question. Drivers may not park within of a railroad crossing? Option number 1. 50 feet. Option number 2. 65 feet. Option number 3. 100 feet. Option number 4. 80 feet. The answer is option number 1. 50 feet. Question. When driving in a construction zone, you should be prepared. Option number 1. To stop. Option number 2. To change lanes. Option number 3. For unexpected movement from workers or equipment. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Question. It is illegal to follow within of a fire truck that is sounding its siren. Option number 1. 1 mile. Option number 2. 1,000 feet. Option number 3. 750 feet. Option number 4. 500 feet. The answer is option number 4. 500 feet. Question. You are driving on a busy street and your vehicle's accelerator sticks open. You should? Option number 1. Blow your horn. Option number 2. Slam on your brakes. Option number 3. Turn on your four-way flashers. Option number 4. Turn off your ignition, taking care not to engage the steering wheel locking mechanism. The answer is option number 4. Turn off your ignition, taking care not to engage the steering wheel locking mechanism. Question. You must stop at an intersection when you see a Option number 1. Flashing red light. Option number 2. Steady yellow light. Option number 3. Yellow arrow. Option number 4. Flashing yellow light. The answer is option number 1. Flashing red light. Question. A no stopping sign means that, unless directed to do so by a police officer, you may stop only. Option number 1. Long enough to unload packages. Option number 2. To avoid conflict with other traffic. Option number 3. To discharge passengers. Option number 4. For less than 5 minutes. The answer is option number 2. To avoid conflict with other traffic. Question. An octagonal sign is always a Option number 1. Speed limit sign. Option number 2. Stop sign. Option number 3. Hospital sign. Option number 4. Railroad warning sign. The answer is option number 2. Stop sign. Question. You cannot pass safely on a two-way, two-lane street unless Option number 1. You are able to clearly see the road ahead. Option number 2. You can return to your lane before meeting oncoming traffic. Option number 3. Your vehicle is capable of the speed necessary to pass. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Question. When approaching a T intersection, drivers Option number 1. Should yield the right-of-way to cross traffic. Option number 2. Have the right-of-way. Option number 3. Should force their way into traffic. Option number 4. Should back up and turn around. The answer is option number 1. Should yield the right-of-way to cross traffic. Question. Fines for moving traffic violations in construction and maintenance zones are? Option number 1. Lessened. Option number 2. Doubled. Option number 3. Non-existent. Option number 4. Unchanged. The answer is option number 2. Doubled. Question. Which offense will cause a license to be automatically suspended? Option number 1. Racing while on a public roadway. Option number 2. Graffiti. Option number 3. Lending a license to another individual. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Question. Regulatory signs are usually dash and should always be obeyed. Option number 1. White. Option number 2. Blue. Option number 3. Green. Option number 4. Orange. The answer is option number 1. White. Question. Refusing to take an alcohol level test when under suspicion of driving while intoxicated or driving under the influence? Option number 1. Is your right and will have no negative consequences. Option number 2. Is recommended. Option number 3. Will result in license suspension. Option number 4. Will just result in a fine. The answer is option number 3. Will result in license suspension. Question. If a pedestrian hybrid beacon signal light is flashing red, it means? Option number 1. Drivers may proceed with caution. Option number 2. Drivers should slow down and prepare to stop. Option number 3. Drivers should come to a complete stop and proceed if the crosswalk is clear. Option number 4. There are no pedestrians nearby. The answer is option number 3. Drivers should come to a complete stop and proceed if the crosswalk is clear. Question. If you are stopped by a police officer, you should? Option number 1. Unbuckle your seatbelt and lower your window. Option number 2. Get your paperwork ready before the officer reaches your car. Option number 3. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. Option number 4. Get out of your car and walk toward the patrol car. The answer is option number 3. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. Question: when passing other vehicles? Option number 1. Check your mirrors and blind spots. Option number 2. Honk your horn at least 3 times. Option number 3. Re-enter your lane within 10 feet of the passed vehicle. Option number 4. There is no need to signal. The answer is option number 1. Check your mirrors and blind spots. Question: what is the first thing you should adjust, if needed, when you get into a car to drive? Option number 1. Your seat belt. Option number 2. The steering wheel. Option number 3. Your rearview mirror. Option number 4. Your seat. The answer is option number 4. Your seat.